At the Journal Sentinel, we've maintained our commitment to investigative watchdog reporting for a number of reasons. First, it's the right thing to do. Second, if we as the newspaper aren't out there investigating and holding government officials and others accountable, who else is going to do it? Among the stories we've been working on in just the past few months, we've looked at how the chemical industry, which is really fighting regulations on bisphenol A, a damaging, harmful chemical, has turned to the tobacco industry. Lobbyists to help them fight this proposed ban in Congress. We've talked about how the child care program in Wisconsin, called Wisconsin Shares, is abused regularly to the millions of dollars that taxpayers lose because of the providers falsifying documents and otherwise defrauding the system. We've looked at the child welfare system and how numerous children, more than 20, have died over the last 5 years in cases where the deaths were preventable. They may spend weeks, sometimes months, poring over thousands of records, doing extensive interviews, and really learning the topic so well that they can effectively hold government officials and others accountable.
So investigative reporting, this paper has been dedicated to it for quite some time now, and it doesn't come out of an editor's office. It comes from tips from readers and from people working their beats. This particular cashing in on kids story about the Wisconsin Shares program and the child subsidies and how parents and providers are scamming the system came out of a tip from a reader. A person called late one night and said they were really upset by the fact that a child had died, been left in a daycare van to die, and that child never should have been at the center that day, the caller said. And that tip landed in my email box, and it was something I knew very little about the Wisconsin Shares program at that point. But sitting down with this tipster, I soon learned that this program, it's been around for 12 years and has been virtually unwatched for these 12 years. So if we're not doing it, I mean, what this story really showed to me is that without us, millions and millions of dollars are being spent that are not being overseen properly at all. And so without us, it would continue to go on for no telling how long. The most outrageous case was the case of Latasha Jackson. She's a child care provider who had been around for about 10 years. And she built a $1 million mansion with an indoor swimming pool, an indoor basketball court, drove a Jaguar convertible, all the while for 10 years had been scamming the system. And there were warning signs, red flag after red flag, that regulators ignored, really didn't do anything about. She had actually been convicted of fraud already one time when she was a mother seeking child care. And that got overlooked, and she was able to become a provider and keep milking the system. Yeah, the reaction from authorities has been interesting. They are only taking action really when they become aware that we're getting ready to publish a story. That's happened at least 4 or 5 times where I'm getting ready to publish. They know I've had to request information from them, so they're aware a couple days ahead of time at least, sometimes more, and that's when they suddenly take action. This last story, the Latasha Jackson story with that mansion and the car and all that, has really gotten people worked up, and now you're really starting to see legislators not only talk about it but actually do things. And regulators, actually a couple people have been relieved of their jobs. Well, at least one top administrator has been fired over it, and several of the subjects we've written about have been federally indicted. So you're starting to see more serious action. This is the most reaction that I've ever gotten as a journalist out of any story I've ever written. It's really hit a nerve with readers. We've gotten hundreds and hundreds of phone calls and emails from people saying how much they appreciate what the newspaper is doing. And I mean, it really shows, again, it exposes how without us that this fraud would continue, the waste would continue. It's critical that we're doing this.